Hello everyone from Sunrise, Dallas. We are here today at Congressman Marc Veasey's office. Him and a few other Congress members from Texas sent a letter to Joe Biden, and we are here today in response to that letter. So let's tune in on what's happening. Hi. Alrighty. Yeah.
All right. So President Biden paused oil and gas drilling on federal lands and waters, and 4 Texas Democrats, including Representative Marc Veasey, wrote a letter calling on Biden to undo that executive order. In response, Sunrise chapters all across the state of Texas have written our own letter, and we're here today to deliver that letter personally. We're here at Marc Veasey's office because we know that addressing climate change is the most pressing issue of our time. And we know that a Green New Deal is the best way to ensure a livable future and create millions of good jobs and ensure a just transition for fossil fuel workers. We also know that Congressman Marc Veasey has taken $124,000 from the oil and gas industry. So we're here today to ask him a simple question. Which side are you on?
Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on?
Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Storms surge and fires burn, but you don't hear the call.
'Cause fossil fuels keep paying you. Does it weigh on you at all? Does it weigh on you at all? Does it weigh on you at all?
Woo woo!
We are in a series of historic crises right now. COVID-19, the economic fallout, climate change, racial justice. And it reminds me a little bit, just a little bit, of challenges I've faced in my own life. When I was a teenager, my family left our home in Ohio to move to Texas. In Ohio, we had sleepovers every weekend, and at my school, I had my friends and the 150 people in our class. We walked around our town laughing like we owned it. And as I stood in the hallways with 900 students in my freshman class in El Paso, in that flood of bodies, I felt small and I felt overwhelmed. No one even knew that I was new to El Paso, so they couldn't reach out and be friendly. And when I went home later, I looked around my new room, which I had organized perfectly for having friends over, and I cried that I didn't have any. In that time of transition, I had a choice. I could wallow in the misery and try desperately to return to the past, or I could look forward and confront the world in front of me. I started running on a cross-country team, and I ran with people, and we ran and we talked, and we became friends. And I put pencil to paper and worked really hard at school. And because of that, I had the chance to go to college, where I got to live with my friends, having sleepovers every night, laughing at our inside jokes, and being way too loud. We have all faced challenges this year from the historic crises gripping our country. And young people especially have faced those challenges, losing jobs, not knowing where our next meal will come from, seeing wildfires burn California, and knowing that hurricanes have devastated Houston in the past few years. We've been isolated from our friends, seen with clear eyes the systemic racism affecting our Black and brown brothers and sisters, and seen family and friends fall ill and even die. And we have a choice to make. We can let these choices consume us, or we can look forward and confront the world that we're in to make it better. And all of you here have made a choice by putting boxes of food in car trunks, marching on hot summer days here in Dallas for racial justice, by registering voters and working the polls, and showing up time and time again as we advocate for a Green New Deal. Your choices have brought us here today. And Representative Veasey, it's your turn to step up. It's your turn to look forward. And it's your turn to confront the world that we're in to make it a better place. We are going to be here pushing you every step of the way. Friends, we all know that we've lived the nightmare of 2020. We all know what it's like. But we also know that the promise a Green New Deal holds for Texas. Good paying jobs building renewable energy, retrofitting buildings, working the land through a civilian conservation corps, a just transition with guaranteed wages and benefits for fossil fuel workers, and cleaner air in Dallas, a city where asthma is one of the leading causes of school absenteeism and where we have not met federal air quality standards for over 25 years. This influx of investment can begin to right the wrongs of systemic racism, which have played out in redlining and putting polluting factories in Black and brown neighborhoods. We'll make a city where we can walk freely, bike or scooter, feeling the wind at our backs and the sun on our faces. And it's the work of organizers across this country that have put that vision within reach, organizing to strengthen Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan, and organizing to elect 2 Democratic senators to deliver a Democratic Congress. And now it's up to us again as organizers. We only have a few weeks or a few months until Joe Biden and the Democrats take up Biden's Build Back Better plan. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to pass a massive green stimulus that cleans our air, creates good jobs, begins to address systemic racism. Raise your hand if you are committed to this fight, and if you will commit with me to confront our future and make it a better one. It's at this moment of many historic and overlapping crises, it is our time to rise up, to win a Green New Deal, to create good jobs, to solve the climate crisis, to turn the tide on systemic racism and income inequality, and create a livable future for ourselves. Thank you, and now I'm going to hand it to Priscilla to read the letter our hubs have written to Marc Veasey.
Woo! 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 Yeah, Priscilla! No. No. You're just gonna have to speak a lot louder.
Now?
Yeah,
Okay,
there you go.
Great. Awesome. So please have a little patience. We wrote this in conjunction with all other Sunrise boards. Sorry. Okay, right here. That's
Point the speaker
Okay,
towards
oh,
us.
okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Turn this on.
Hold it really close.
Dear Texas Representatives Henry Cuellar, Marc Veasey, Lizzie Fletcher, and Vicente Gonzalez, we appreciate your concern for tackling the historic crises our nation faces, notably the COVID-19 pandemic, the economic fallout from it, and climate change. As young Texans facing the brunt of these interlocking crises, we know that we can't solve any one of these issues on its own or by trying to return to the past. Your suggestion that fossil fuel extraction will address these crises is incorrect, and we condemn that suggestion in the strongest possible terms. The best way to address these challenges together is by investing in a Green New Deal for Texas. A Green New Deal would ensure that no worker is left behind in the transition to a renewable energy economy. There is so much work to do retrofitting our homes and buildings, creating cleaner and more accessible transit systems, preserving ecosystems, expanding renewable energy across the state, doing low-carbon care work as teachers, artists, and nurses, and more. Federal investments are at a minimum of $2 trillion over 4 years, as promised in President Biden's Build Back Better agenda, would create millions of well-paying union jobs in Texas and across the country. Not only will these investments create jobs, they will protect Texas ranching, reduce utility costs for Texas homeowners and renters, and improve air quality for all Texans. Public support for a Green New Deal is growing rapidly. 69% of the public supports a green jobs guarantee. Similarly, Biden's Build Back Better plan to invest some of the $7 trillion in creating 10 million clean energy jobs is very popular. 53% of voters support the Biden Clean Energy Investment Plan, even after hearing Republican arguments against. Green Jobs also echoes the Just Transition Fund's Coal Transition Platform, an agenda that has been endorsed by 80 groups, including environmental and labor groups. Racial disparities in the effect of air pollution show why we must build back better rather than return to the past. Congressman Veasey's district, where we are right now, is home to DISD, where a leading cause of absenteeism is asthma. COVID-19 is also more deadly in neighborhoods with higher levels of air pollution. Continuing our reliance on fossil fuels is a recipe for disaster that has made it more difficult for children to learn and created the conditions for so many deaths due to COVID-19. In light of these facts, it is beyond disappointing to see your letter cited data from the American Petroleum Institute, fossil fuel lobbyists who are profiting off of these crises. We should end subsidies and systems that allow fossil fuel CEOs to line their pockets while propping up a failing industry and harming Texans. Instead, we should invest in a future that will improve the health of our communities. We must also end reliance on fossil fuels because it is undeniable that climate disasters are ravaging Texas. Hurricane Harvey alone dropped more water on Houston than goes over Niagara Falls in 1 year, cost over $130 billion in damages, displaced over 30,000 people, destroyed over 200,000 homes and businesses, killed at least 45 people, and adversely affected countless more lives. We know the solutions to these challenges: large investments in renewable energy, retrofitting homes, regenerative agriculture, modernizing the electric grid, and a just transition for fossil fuel workers and their communities. These investments will ensure Texans breathe clean air, drink clean water, and secure a livable future from the Gulf Coast to the Rocky Mountains and desert in El Paso. We are in the midst of an unprecedented economic and climate crisis. The status quo is killing our communities and our jobs. If you are serious about fighting for the well-being of Texans, for the creation of good, union jobs to tackle racial and economic inequality, and to stopping the climate crisis, will you swear off your fossil fuel donations and support a historic green recovery to show Texans that you are fighting for us and not the corporate fossil fuel CEOs? This letter is from Sunrise Movement Dallas, Sunrise Movement Houston, Sunrise Movement Katy, Sunrise Movement Austin, Sunrise Movement El Paso, Sunrise Movement Tarrant, Sunrise Movement University of Texas at Dallas, and Sunrise Movement Denton. And one last thing I want to say is that these movements together have these Democrats basically scared, because if they weren't scared, they wouldn't write this letter to try to stop Joe Biden from doing the right thing. So the fact that Joe Biden is more progressive than you is more than enough that we need to know to tell you to step up or to step aside.
Woo, woo.
And yeah, with that, it's cold, so I'm gonna move it along. Thanks, everyone.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, woo. Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Surge and fires burn, but you don't hear the call. 'Cause fossil fuels keep paying you. Does it weigh on you at all? 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 Which side are you on now? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Winds surge and fires burn, but you don't hear the call. Fossil fuels keep paying you. Does it weigh on you at all? Does it weigh on you at all? Does it weigh on you at all? Woo woo! Alrighty, that was us here at Marc Veasey's office in Dallas, Texas. We are now going to deliver that letter to him. Stay tuned for more follow-up actions, and we will see you guys on the next action. Bye!